Imagine being a pariah, being an outcast, being accused of something that you didn't even do and shunned by your entire community. Well, that's what we're going to be discussing on this episode of Love My Body, Love Myself with my guest. So stick around. This is the Love My Body, Love Myself show, and I am your host, Alicia Couri, and I love being with you on a Tuesday evening to share these stories and these experts with you, because the purpose of this show is to really free ourselves as women, free us from this cage that we put ourselves in, where we have all this negative self-talk about ourselves, about the body that we're in, that we're not good enough, we're not pretty enough, we're not smart enough, we don't have the right shape, we're doing all these things to ourselves to make us better in the eyes of who? I mean, because other people don't see us the way we see ourselves. And so this show is really all about bringing you the stories and the people and the testimonials and the what others have gone through that you're probably going through, to help you and to share with you some things that can help free you from all that negative self-talk and all that other stuff that we think is important that really is not important. And I know this because I've done it. I have abused myself in the way I've spoken to myself, the way I've looked at myself, by not believing in myself for many, many years, for not believing in my own beauty, for looking at my body and thinking, ugh, at different points in my life. And I laugh at it now, but, we go through these things. And my goal is for women at every age and every stage to understand that they are beautiful and unique and have a wonderful gift to give to the world, or to even just their family, by just being who they are and not trying to be anything else. So today's show, I just want to welcome everybody who's watching. So if you are on YouTube, thank you for joining us on YouTube. And you just go and hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. And I would love it if you can give this video a like, so we can continue to produce more of this kind of content for you. If you're watching us on Facebook, hello. Thank you so much for joining us. So welcome. We are streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Twitch. So I want to welcome you all for joining me tonight on those platforms. If you'd like to go over to our YouTube channel, you're quite welcome to do that and subscribe to our channel. It is youtube.com/C/Alicia Couri. And you can go ahead and do that. And if this content is valuable for you in any way, please leave a comment. We would love to interact. Hey, Tony, thank you so much for joining. So just interact with me. I am here live, and I do want to let you know, though, the show, our guest, was previously recorded. So this is previously recorded content, but I am here live. So if you comment, I'll put up your comments, and I might even break into the recording and have a little chit chat with you during the show. Also want to let you know that this show is sponsored by Alicia Couri Inc. and it is produced by Red Carpet CEO. Alicia Couri Inc. is a boutique consulting firm that specializes in developing audaciously proactive leaders and teams using brain science and people data to get results. So you can go to aliciacouri.com for more information on that. And so I don't want to take too much time to bring this video on. But before I do that, I just want to invite you to join our Facebook group. My goal is to impact 100,000 women. And so we're tracking that by inviting them to the Facebook group. So if you can invite people into this Facebook group, in the new year, we're going to be doing a lot more interactive things in the group. But for right now, we really would like you to invite people into the Facebook group. It is facebook.com/groups/LMBLM, and that stands for Love My Body, Love Myself. Some of the guests we have coming up. I mean, I'm super excited. I did an interview recently with someone who's going to come and talk about anti-aging and all those tech things that are in the anti-aging space, all the energy type devices now that are out there, using light therapy, using laser therapy, using all these different technologies, what they do, how effective they are, and what you should and shouldn't spend your money on. So that's great. We're going to do a lot more stuff on nutrition and health and hormones, balancing out our hormones as we get older, because all kinds of stuff starts going wonky, when you hit your mid 30s. And so it's really important for you to understand all about your hormones. Ani tonight, my guest, is going to talk about mindset, and she's going to go a little bit into that, which is her expertise, to help you connect your mind, body, and create that mind-body connection, especially after going through a traumatic situation. And she's an expert in this. She was an expert in it before she went through what she went through. And she is, because of what she went through, the trauma she went through, she's now able to even go a level, many levels and layers deeper to help you get healing. So that's great. And Ani and I are actually colleagues. We both are faculty members of a mastermind, an entrepreneurial mastermind group where we work with entrepreneurs who are growing tremendously in their businesses. And so both of us are a part of that faculty to help facilitate these amazing entrepreneurs as they grow. So if you would like to, I'll tell you a little bit more about how you can connect with me and follow me. I just really want to bring on this interview. So here we go with Ani Anderson. So take it away, Alicia. Well, thank you so much, Alicia, for that wonderful introduction. And I am here with Ani Anderson. Ani is, she and her husband have an amazing business. It's called the Somatic Coaching Academy. And if you don't know what that is, we'll dive into that a little bit later. But she's really here on Love My Body, Love Myself to talk about her own personal journey. So I want to welcome Ani Anderson. Hey, Ani.
Hi.
Hi. She is a terrific woman, an amazing friend of mine. And I was so honored that she decided to do this show because she's been through something really, I'm not sure women have experienced it the way that you experienced it, but I know many women have gone through divorce where it has been a heartbreaking, heart-wrenching, and very difficult period of their life, but not in the same way that you went through your divorce. And that's what we're going to dive into on this episode of Love My Body, Love Myself. So Ani, you were married.
I was.
You were married. And through the breakdown, where do you want to start in describing the breakdown of your marriage and what happened?
Well, I was married to my high school sweetheart. So we had been married for, I guess we had been together for about 17 years, I guess, Alicia. Mm-hmm. And we lived in this tiny town together. So it's interesting to hear your introduction because I was thinking, I'll bet what I experienced was what a lot of people experience when they're going through divorce, except for mine was under a microscope.
Right.
You know? So we were in this tiny town, and it's almost so tiny. It's like an extended family. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't planning on getting divorced. I think most people would probably say that. I mean, we had been together long enough where, like life happens and stuff. So I had combined my business with another business owner in town. And as soon as I did that, rumors started to fly that we were having an affair. We were so happy. about our businesses and, thinking about the big vision and enjoying conversation, right?
Right.
Like all of that stuff that entrepreneurs really get into.
Yeah. And that's one thing I have to I don't mean to interrupt, but that's one thing when one entrepreneur that's really a visionary meets another entrepreneur that's visionary, the conversations become really fulfilling and exciting, and it's like an explosion. But
Yes.
this explosion was a business explosion. You were all like, this is how our business is going to grow and flourish, and you were just
It was
into
so
that.
exciting.
It was
Yeah,
exciting, but it
that's
was on the
exactly
business
right.
level.
It was totally business. We owned our own wellness center. We were local practitioners, and we were dreaming and scheming about video programs and DVDs and,
Yeah.
big stages and all of this stuff, which has come to pass. But all of that stuff right in the beginning stages was like, oh, this is so amazing when your mind just opens up to all these possibilities. It was so great. And so our clients were watching us, the community was watching us, and rumors started to fly that we were having an affair, and it wasn't true. And so that's when people started to really watch. It was interesting. I was at a Brendan Bouchard event one time when he asked, who has ever been rejected by someone? Everybody stand up if you've been rejected by somebody. And like everybody in the audience stood up, and he went through this series of like, okay, so if you've been rejected by more than 3 people, stay standing, otherwise sit down. If you've been rejected by more than 5 people, stay standing. So he got to the place where he was like, if you've been rejected by more than 20 people, stay standing. And there were 3 of us. There must have been 3,000 people in that room. And I looked around, and it was at that moment that I recognized just how much I'd been through. And that was a few years after that happened. But I really was like, wow, because we got hate email, we got hate phone calls, and the end of the story actually has my business partner and I getting together. But that wasn't how it started. And what was interesting was in the middle, when all the rumors were flying and things, I started to doubt myself. I started the story, as you asked it, about the fact that I was with my high school sweetheart, because that was my first relationship. And so when people started to rumor that we were having an affair, I really started to wonder, am I in love? Is this something that I don't really understand because I haven't been in enough relationships to really understand or differentiate? I don't even know.
Yeah.
And to make it even more complicated, the end of the story, which I think has, right?
Yeah.
Has my ex-husband and Brian, my business partner's ex-wife, also got together. So people want to know, like, it blows people's minds. They're like, wait a minute, how, who, what first? Like, I don't even know, to be honest with you, and I was a part of it. But what I do know is somewhere in the middle, all of us decided that a better constellation for our relationships would be if Brian and I were together and if the other 2 were together. And that's what we decided as 4 people to do. And we decided to rearrange our homes. We have 3 children. We're going to share and co-collaborate raising our children. And we did this with a lot of, discussions and difficult discussions. And like, I can't even believe we went through all that. And then when we first started to tell people, they were so wildly upset with us that, again, the rumors started to fly. That was one thing. But
And
then
it became the picking of the friends. Well, yeah, we're
well,
choosing them over you, and that was the rejection. We're
it
not
was,
choosing
that's
you.
exactly right.
We're
That's
choosing
exactly
to be
right.
with them because we know you guys are doing something fishy on the side over here. So
Yeah.
we're going to stick with this people over here, when these people were actually the ones doing the fishy stuff, and you
It was the
guys
same
were just
stuff.
had a
Yeah,
business.
yeah, exactly. I was seen as the neighborhood perpetrator.
Right. The Scarlet Letter.
Why, right? Like, as the woman, even now when I look back at it, I'm like, why was it me that was seen as the perpetrator? And the victims, of course, were my ex and my partner's ex, who I can't blame them. I don't know what I would have done either, but we're glad to play the victim role at the time because, like, everybody was talking about all of us, right? And so I absorbed this identity as the perpetrator.
Right.
And I hid.
Yeah. Yikes. And how did that translate to how you felt about yourself and who you had become.
I was crushed. I didn't know who I was. It took me a few years. I remember telling somebody on the phone, I feel like I have amnesia. I don't know who I am. My identity as a community member was crushed, as a mother was crushed, as a friend was crushed, as a business owner was crushed. Like all of these different ways that I saw myself all at the same time.
You identify yourself with, yeah.
Annihilated.
Gone.
And I did not know who I was. I needed to basically like patch myself together with tape for probably about 2 years solidly. And I'm not kidding you. It was, I was just a mess.
And how did your business survive through all of this?
That's the crazy thing. Our business doubled.
Wow.
So yeah, which I had to deal with. So we got kicked out of our first wellness center. We had some clients who left us and didn't want to talk to us. We had other clients who were staying. We had a family to support. So we ended up buying a building in town so that we could create a new wellness center. When we did, our business doubled like overnight. And so now, before we rented a place, now we own a building. Before we had 3 partners in the practice. Now it was me and my partner, and we had like 5 other people who were working for us. Like it was insane. It was insane.
Wow, that is crazy. But in the court of public opinion, you were walking around with a scarlet letter.
Yeah. I mean, there were some people, I hid in the office a lot of times, but there were people who knew we could help and we were the best in town and they weren't going to stop coming. There were people who knew we could help and weren't going to set foot in our place to save their lives. There were some people who had no idea what was going on. We had people coming from 2 hours away to our center to come see us, and some of them didn't know.
And so that's what's the craziest part of this too, is that you still live there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had people tell me, you need to move. And believe me, I wanted to move. But I knew that my kids were in school. My ex, who, I was going to need to co-parent with, was right down the street. I didn't want to like move away and then have to have my kids commute.
Right.
I didn't know where else to go either. I don't really have like a hometown. So it wasn't like I could go to my hometown or like, I don't know that would have worked either. Like, I didn't feel like I could necessarily go anywhere. So I stayed.
Yeah.
I stayed and I hid.
You stayed and you hid. So how were you able to start putting the pieces of your life back together and yourself back together?
So the first thing I did was I called every single healing friend that I knew, because I was in the healing arts and the holistic medicine. And so I had a lot of cool friends, and I contacted every single one of them and nobody knew how to help me. I remember one person in particular said to me, you've got to be really careful, Ani, because what's going on with you to me seems like somebody who's on ecstasy, and you could create a wildfire that just burns everything around you. So like this is the intensity of the opinions of the people around me.
Wow.
So I contacted everybody I knew. Nobody could really help me. I was having some other weird kind of like body stuff going on. So I reached out to a healing center in New York City. We can talk a little bit more about what that was if it's applicable. And they were able to provide a little bit of support so that I wasn't like blowing out my nervous system constantly. So that was nice, but it wasn't by any means able to help me get my life back in order. So this is actually when I found coaching. I didn't know coaching existed before this.
Yeah.
And so I found coaching. What was interesting about that is I had all these healing friends who couldn't necessarily help me. And and some of that was because of the strong opinions, for sure. And then I had these coaches. And so I found coaching and I was like, coaching's awesome. I love coaching. I went into the coaching world and it was good and great for a while, but then also I realized that there was some healing work that like they didn't know how to do. So I still felt like I was kind of straddling these two worlds. So what I ended up doing was using what I knew from the healing world and what I was learning from the coaching world and start starting to marry those two things, put them together. And that's really what ultimately helped me to
Helped you
figure
get
out
through.
who I am, who I want to be, and and help me get through.
And you mentioned something, and we're going to take a break in a moment, but you mentioned something about things happening in your body, because the work that you do is the body mind connection. It's like bringing it together, which is why I love having you on the show, because we're one being, and what affects the mind and what affects the spirit affects the body. And so it's all intertwined and interconnected. So what were some of the things that you were noticing? Because when you're in depression, and when you have those mental things happening, you do have other signs in your body.
Oh yeah. I mean, you name it, I had it. So from a physical standpoint, I had headaches that showed up occasionally. I had some weird other body stuff that happened. Like I remember one time my hip seemed to go out and I couldn't walk for 24 hours, but I fixed that one on my own. Stress, anxiety, huge. I did have depression, cloudy thinking, was lack of clarity, lack of focus, procrastination, all of that mental stuff, the emotional stuff, all of that. And then, my partner, Brian, he had back pain. I had shoulder pain. I had the hip thing. So there were all these little like physical things that would crop up from time to time that were almost like a pimple coming to a head. Because when they did, it was excruciating, and it just stopped everything until we dealt with it.
Wow. I'm going to take a quick break, because I want to, in the next part of this, get into how the work that you do also helps other women. So we want to describe the work that you do, and really how your journey to healing and loving your body and yourself again after such a traumatic situation, how all of that has created the woman that you are today.
Sounds good.
All right. The Love My Body, Love Myself show is sponsored by Alicia Couri, Inc. and produced by Red Carpet CEO. Alicia Couri, Inc. is a boutique consulting firm that specializes in developing audaciously proactive leaders and teams using brain science and people data to get results. For more information, you can visit our website, aliciacouri.com. The show is produced by Red Carpet CEO. If you would like a copy of Age with Audacious Confidence, please go to our link tree, which is linktr.ee/acouri, and look for Age with Audacious Confidence. Well, before I go back to, before we get back to the rest of this interview, I just wanted to say, hey, I know I put their names up, but I just want to say, hey, really quick comments. Thank you, Tony, for tuning in, and Stacy. Thank you. Appreciate it. And hi, Allie. Love that you're here watching us today as well. Don't forget to leave a comment if this information is of value to you. Go ahead and leave a comment, and share it with someone. Share it with someone else that you know might be struggling to going through this. I also wanted to take a moment now to say thank you so much to our sponsors. And we do have one other sponsor, which is Dare to Lead with Linda. So Dare to Lead with Linda has an amazing leadership program that it combines the command part of leadership with the influence part of leadership, and it is all for women. So Dare to Lead with Linda, her new program is called Awaken the Leader. And if you would like more information on that program, go to bit.ly/ATL2021-2. So I also want to share, if you wanted to get in touch with me, or you wanted to connect with me, you can connect with me a couple different ways. So there's alicia360.com. You can go there and just connect with me on all social media channels, but you can also connect with me if you just use Instagram. You can go on Instagram. It's at the Alicia Couri and at Audacious Confidence to follow me on Instagram. I see we have a couple other comments. Let me see who tuned in, who's commenting. Hey, Danny, thank you so much. Yes, love hearing and learning from Ani. I love hearing from Ani too. She was sharing some really, really important things, and not just for women, for anyone who is going through a traumatic situation. This is very important. And hi, Maureen. Thank you for tuning in. And so now I want to go on and get back to the show. Without an identity, because it happened. Welcome back to Love My Body, Love Myself. I am your host, Alicia Couri, as she just said, bringing us back here from break. And I am talking to my guest, Ani Anderson, who went through a crushing divorce that left her feeling really without an identity, because it happened in a small town. So if you're just joining us, just giving you a little recap. It happened in a small town, and everybody kind of looked at her as the perpetrator. And so we left off just talking, Ani, about your search for healing and to help you navigate this thing that was happening to you that you couldn't even understand what was happening. But you were feeling all these symptoms in your body and feeling all these things. And so how were you able to like really bring the mind and the emotions together with the body to start healing yourself?
Well, I certainly hated myself. I remember sitting on Sundays after I dropped my kids off at their dad's house, just crying in our wellness center. It was the only time that I really had where I was alone, and I just couldn't get my act together. Some days I would just cry and cry until I fell asleep. Mm-hmm. And so the emotions were so big. And one of the main pieces of advice I was getting was to find your purpose. Mm. And so I tried 3 or 4 different purpose courses to try to figure out what my purpose was. And every time I would take a course, it would point me towards a person that I could not see. Mm. So that wasn't very helpful to me, because it was just more frustrating, because actually, it's kind of funny now in hindsight. One of the assessments I took, I got the results back and I didn't agree with them, because it's pointing me towards a person I can't see. And so I contacted the company and I said, I don't think this is right. And they said, we never have people tell us that, but because this never happens, we'll let you retake the assessment. I got the same damn thing. I had the same damn thing. And I was like, shit, there's something going on here that I can't see. And so I stopped trying. And that was really smart, because I was just really frustrated. And so as I was like letting it percolate and basically just getting myself to the place where I figured I was broken, I was bad, and I was never going to get better, an idea popped up in my head. And I remember I was sitting in the car at my hairdresser's. I must have been waiting for an appointment, and it just went boom. It was the yin yang symbol, the Tai Chi symbol came into my head. And I said, that's it. That's why I can't find my purpose, because people are describing half of a whole. And none of the purpose like courses I was taking actually described me as a whole person. It just described me as the part that was succeeding and doing awesome. Right. Right. So I got my paper and pen out, and I started coming up with my own process that now I use specifically with women, but with anybody. I've had lots of guys tell me it's been great too, to help people to find their purpose and see that the hard stuff, the bad stuff, all of your life is about who you are, not just those parts that, are not about
the good parts.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, I did something similar. I actually didn't take his course, but David Nagel had, he has this thing called about the dark side, dark side of you. And, it's something that we always shun and we always like are embarrassed about or afraid of. I think more a fear of, well, nobody can know this and nobody can see this part of me and nobody can, I can't reveal this. But that sometimes is where your most powerful self is.
Absolutely, it is. It
And it's about
absolutely is.
framing it the positive way, to allow that energy to come forth.
Yes, exactly. And I think what you just said is really important, framing it the right way, in a positive way. And so when we can't do that, it's because our body disagrees. And that's what I've really come to learn through this process myself. And it's like so ironic, because before my divorce, I would help people with chronic pain, anxiety, and stress. That was the main gig of what I would do. And my partner, Brian, as well. And,
I love Brian, by the way. He is so awesome. Just give her husband a shout out.
He's like a chocolate chip cookie. Everybody loves him. And so what we came to figure out after the divorce was that the pain of growth, the pain of expansion, the pain of up leveling is really the same pain, whether it's body pain, chronic pain, stress, and anxiety that people feel when they're stuck. So it's actually the same kind of thing. And the reason that we can't put a positive frame on it, because some people can. Some people's their subconscious mind is programmed in such a way they can put a positive frame on it and they can go about their business or change their life or whatever. And some people can't. I was one of those people that couldn't do it. I couldn't positively reframe. And part of the reason why was because my body didn't agree. And my body would be like, no, you are so full of it. You are not this, you are not that, you are a terrible person who did these horrible things. Like that's our reality. And so I actually needed to learn how to reframe my sensations, reframe my emotions, that like the parts of an emotion are thoughts and sensations. And so I was bad at reframing my thoughts because my sensations were like, no. So I really needed to reframe those sensations. And when I started to do that, I could start to reframe the thoughts, which meant reframing my emotions and starting to release some of the guilt and some of the shame that came along with the package deal of the divorce.
Wow. That is amazing. I've never heard it, how you're describing it, because I've often wondered how people cannot reframe certain things and can't shift their beliefs. Because one thing I know for sure is that just affirmations alone do not shift beliefs. They do not shift behavior, and they do not shift. They don't shift you into anything. Affirmations alone. You can say positive affirmations till the cows come home, but if you don't shift that belief, it's just breath, so you have to work on the belief level. And you added that extra thing is you can't shift it until you have those thoughts and sensations come together, and then the body can start really embracing it. And I think that's what happened with me with believing that I'm beautiful, because I never used to believe that for a very long time because I didn't see it. Just like you were saying, I didn't see it. And so I had to reframe and shift a lot of things in my mind to start getting that belief going. So I hope you're still with us. I know we've kind of jumped to another level of consciousness here in the way we're talking, but I hope you're still with us, everyone. And this is so fast. This is the stuff I love. I'm so fascinated by all of this. So tell us, not me, tell us what your work does. You kind of alluded to it throughout our conversation here, but what exactly do you do as a coach, and how can people really gain insight and help from you?
Yeah. So from a coaching perspective, if I'm working with a client, I help them to reframe how they feel based on their sensory experience. So sometimes we do work with the thoughts. It's not that we don't, because that's a component of emotions. But I'm going at it kind of in the back door. And one of my favorite things about that is people tell us all the time that I was never a person that got results, and I got results with you. And I mean, the easy reason for that is because we're the people who are going in a different way. So I want anybody who's watching to know, if they've tried something, they haven't gotten results, keep trying, because you'll find a way that goes in a back door, and then you'll go, oh my gosh, now I'm a person that gets results too. I think that matters so much to me, because I believe everybody's capable. And not only do I believe that, I've seen it. I've seen so many people who have said nothing's worked for me and things work for them. So that's really important to me. So we go in the back door in that way. Now, that's when I'm working with people. One of the biggest things we really do in our company now is to train other people to do what we do. And that's what I'm really excited about, because it's fine for me to be able to do it. But as the community of our graduates grow, I know that there are more and more people out there allowing other people to have results when before they couldn't do it. That makes me so happy.
Yes. That is the exciting journey that you're taking now. Is you're training people how to go out, training and certifying people how to go out and find those back doors for other people, so that you have a much wider reach and more people can get help using this technique that you and Brian have pioneered and created over how many years? 30 years of working.
Yeah, I mean, the crazy thing is, Alicia, both of us were on these parallel paths, but we didn't know each other. And I met him and I was so disappointed, because I had just moved into town. And when I met him, he did exactly what I did. And I'd never met anybody who did exactly what I did. And here we are in this little town. There's two of us. I couldn't believe it. Right? So for like, I'm like, well, how am I going to have business if you're already here? So for 30 years, each of us was basically learning very, very similar stuff on very, very similar trajectories. And then we met each other and we started to work the process together. And that's really what has been able to create the testing ground for these practices, because we were our own guinea pigs, but we were able to talk about it too. I'm experiencing this. Are you experiencing that? Oh, let's try it like this. Let's try it like that. And I think that, well, I hate to say it, but it's true. Without the partnership, it wouldn't have happened, because we needed both of us to really be able to bring the experimentation of the work to a place where we knew what was going on with it.
Yeah. We don't always see the fruits, or, when we're in the fire, we can't see the beauty when we're in it.
Yeah.
And you had to go through that trauma, that, that horrific event in your lives for 2, 3, 4 years, however many years it was. So now on the other side of that, looking back, you're like, this had to happen. And like you said earlier, growth, you can't birth something amazing without pain and some kind of struggle.
Yeah.
Anything that is beautiful in the world went through struggle to get there. So
absolutely. And you said a really important word, Alicia, trauma. The reason that I couldn't get where I wanted to go more quickly, I now know, is because I have been unraveling patterns of trauma. And it's not just mine, to be honest with you. I was trying to figure out how to say this. It's like lineage patterns. It's things I learned from my mom and my dad. It's things that they learned from their parents. Like, I don't even see sometimes the direct connection between what I knew, but I do see direct connections between what they learned and how I was taught, that blow me away as I continue to see those things. And I think that, I know that all of us have trauma patterns in our DNA in some capacity. And anytime we get to a place where, like, why can't I move farther, or why can't I move faster? Actually looking at our trauma, but in healing it in a way that doesn't just look back, but also looks forward in a really holistic way, enables us to move through it in an integrated way that doesn't drag our trauma along with us.
Oh my God, Ani, that is so amazing. That is so amazing. I think I need to book a session with you. I know you and I know how brilliant you are, but I think I need to book a session with you myself. So listen, no, it's so true. There's stuff in our DNA that's passed on generation from generation, and we don't even know it. And then we end up doing things and we're like, where did that come from? How did
Yeah.
that happen? And
Or
it's in
why
our
me?
consciousness. Yeah,
What's the
it's
matter with me?
what's the matter with me? What's wrong with me?
Yeah.
And so healing through all those cycles, and then looking to the future as well, so we don't pass that on to the next generation.
That's right. Right on. If I had one magic wish for the world, it would be that no woman ever says, "What's wrong with me?"
Yeah, I know.
ever again.
I know. And I am so thankful that through that, and you sharing that with us today, that you were able to love your body and love yourself again. Because I see you guys, I see you, and I see you and Brian, and you're having fun, and it's
Yeah.
genuine fun, and you're loving being yourself. And we did a dance. If you want to
Yeah.
check us out on my
And it was good.
it was a good dance. We danced. I put it on TikTok. It's on Instagram. But that's the place that we need to be. People talk about authenticity, but we really need to get to the soul and the core of who we are.
Yeah.
And live from that place, and not live from a place of judgment of others and things that are going on, and living our lives based on how other people see us, but really understanding who we are, loving who we are, and then being able to live from that space.
That's right.
So
Radiate that out in the world. Yeah.
thank you, Ani. I appreciate you
Welcome.
so much for stopping by and sharing with us. And
Thank you for having me. This is a really important conversation. I appreciate being invited.
well, that was a wonderful conversation with Ani. And thank you all for those of you who have joined and left comments and interacted with us. I thank you. And I know Hope joined in. Hi, Hope. Thank you so much for joining in. So a couple really important things that were shared, and I do want to kind of highlight them about just doing affirmations. If you're just there saying things over and over and you're not changing things on the belief level, because we have something called the cycle of belief, where if something happens, we create a belief around it, and then when it happens again, that belief is reinforced. And so these patterns end up being a subconscious kind of trigger, where it just keeps happening over and over. And then you end up saying, like we said in the end of that video, what is wrong with me? Why can't I? And you start blaming yourself without realizing that you actually created a belief that is not serving you in any way. And it's about getting into, uh, you know, reprogramming those beliefs. So anyway, this was a great session with Ani, a great episode. If you would like to get in touch with Ani, you can contact her on Facebook or IG. It's at New Ani Anderson on Instagram and on Facebook. So you can just look for her there and connect with Ani there and find out more. If you have experienced any trauma, you want to know how to get rid of chronic pain, or all the different things that she and Brian specialize in, especially removing trauma. Give them a call, give her a shout, check her out on Instagram. And again, you can follow me, the Alicia Couri, or at Audacious Confidence. As I close, I just wanted to invite you. I have another show that's called Small Business Saturday Shout Out, and I just wanted to let you know that we're having a networking event. So if you have a small business and you'd like to join our networking event, it is free, it is virtual, and it will be on December 9th at 6 p.m. So that's the link. It's bit.ly -32AMOSO if you would like to be a part of our networking event on December 9th. We'd love to have you there. Thank you so much, Danny. Appreciate it. And also, just to let you know that this show was sponsored by Alicia Couri Inc. and produced by Red Carpet CEO. So we also have a program that has been developed called Awaken the Leader from Dare to Lead with Linda. And if you would like more information on that leadership program, you can go to this link. It's bit.ly/ATL2021-2. So that is our episode for today. Thank you so much for joining us. And I really want to encourage you all to find a way to love your body. It's the only one you're going to get. It's the only body that you're ever going to get. So love the body that you're in and love yourself through the process. I will see you next time for another wonderful episode. We have someone who is going to talk about soul wealth, how to make your soul wealthy. So coming up next week, and I look forward to that show as well. So I hope you join me. And don't forget, leave comments, invite people to the group. I'm going to leave the link again for the Facebook group. It is facebook.com/groups/LMBLM, and that's for Love My Body, Love Myself. Facebook.com/groups/LMBLM. So until next time, I'll see you. Have the best week. Bye. Mwah.